Hey guys, so I made another batch of sorrel recently. It's been steeping for a day or two, and now we are gonna strain it off. But more importantly, what's been trending online among the West Indian community is sorrel jam. So that's making jam from the leftover sorrel flowers that you make the drink with. So I figured, why throw it out, right? Let's try it. So today we're actually gonna try making sorrel jam and seeing if this is a hit or a miss. So first things first, let's get to straining. And if you look, you can see, oops, I got my ginger and all the things in there, but we'll pick out like the ginger, the allspice, the cloves out of there. Now, when I was a kid growing up in St. Kitts, when my mom would make sorrel, she would have the fresh sorrel. And she'd get a bag or two of that, and I'd have to sit down and you would basically clean it. That would be pulling out the seed. And I like to eat really sour things. And I would taste the fresh sorrel flower, and it was really sour. And I loved it. So it was like one sorrel going in the bag and then another one going in my mouth. But living in the Greater Toronto area, I think I've only seen fresh sorrel once. We get the sorrel, the Grace bags of dried sorrel, so I can't eat it like I used to eat it when I was a kid. So we're gonna just press down, squeeze out any remaining juice. And then continue to pick through, taking out the orange peel, the nutmeg, oops, nutmeg. My sink's right next to me, guys, just FYI. I'm not just throwing it into oblivion. All right, so we've picked off our cloves and our cinnamon sticks. And now it's time to get the jam started. All right, so at this point, we move on to the next phase, which is we want to blend the sorrel pulp, right? I think I'm gonna blend most of the pulp, and I'm gonna keep a few pieces that I want to like break down when we start cooking the jam to give it a little bit of texture. So I'm just gonna leave like little scrapes in the pot. I may regret it later, but I feel like it's gonna add a little texture, and I think sometimes that's nice for jam. So we're gonna add some of the actual sorrel drink unsweetened to this for the blending. So I have about a cup of sorrel. And then we're gonna blend this bad boy. I'm gonna open it up and scrape the sides. Guys, I don't know how I feel about how this will turn out, but I'm gonna trust the process, you know? It's always cool to try new things and see where it leads us. I would have never in a million years thought of sorrel jam. So, you know, people say it tastes good. Let's see. All right, I think it's pretty blended. So at this point, we're gonna put it back into our pot, add sugar, and then, you know, let it simmer down and see what happens. All right. Okay, y'all, this is the pureed sorrel. Okay, so we're gonna put this on the stove now. All right, guys, so we have it on the stove. We're gonna add sugar now. I'm gonna add a little bit more of the sorrel juice as well. And we gotta kind of like taste in between to see what it tastes like. It's actually not bad. I have never made jam of any sort, so this is a new experience for me on a whole. I'm just trying to get the flavor profile, so we can just leave it to simmer. I think we're almost there. I know it's a lot of sugar, but I probably should have done something like agave or honey. Who told me to wear white during jam making? I'm seeing like specks of I think we got it. The flavor tastes nice right about there. So I'm just gonna leave it and let it simmer on a low heat, and we'll come back and check on it in a few. Sometimes when I'm trying out these recipes, like some of these curious recipes like sorrel jam, I sit and wonder to myself, who was the person who made their sorrel drink at Christmas time and was like, boy, I don't want these flower petals, this sorrel pulp to go to waste. Let me make jam. Like, who came up with the idea and what was the catalyst? Was it you didn't want to waste the pulp? You're like, there must be something more we could do with this. Or was it like one day you were like, oh my gosh, sorrel drink tastes nice. I'd love to eat this on bread and crackers or something like that. Like, where did the idea come from? So while we're waiting for the sorrel jam to simmer down, I'm sweetening my sorrel drink and getting that ready. Oh, so good. I love sorrel. I love it. Sorrel is one of those things that is like, it is a Christmas ritual. You make it every year without any thought. It just, as a West Indian, as an island person, as a Kititian, it just has to be done. But from my understanding, sorrel was brought over to the Caribbean via the slave trade, like the hibiscus plant, which is a sorrel, is from West Africa. So it dates back to the slave trade and our history of colonialism. So it really is an important tradition to maintain and pass along to our kids for generations to generations, just like Carnival and many other things that we celebrate, right? So I like to think that I am keeping my cultural customs and traditions alive and passing them on to my kids. And I hope to God that my kids pass it on to theirs as well. So let's get to bottling. There we go. You know what's funny? I realized when you put alcohol in the sorrel, it doesn't foam up like this when you bottle it. Fun fact. All right, guys, I think our sorrel jam is ready. Let's taste. I think this is a hit. If you grew up in the Caribbean or you're from the diaspora, however you say it, you've probably had things like tamarind jam, gooseberry jam, things of that nature, and it's reminiscent of that. Or you take something tangy and make it into a sweet jam. I actually like it. So now we are going to bottle our jams. And we have some like little mason jars here. And perhaps we'll get Jordan to come down and do a taste test at some point. I can't believe I tried this, like sorrel jam. All right, Jordan's on break, so it's like pajamas all day, every day, but he will be the ultimate taste tester for our sorrel jam. Be honest, what you think? Is it a hit or a miss?
Hit.
You like it? Yeah, it's very, I never would have expected sorrel jam to taste like this. You want more? Yeah. But it is actually pretty good.